Good evening and welcome to the news at 10. Prime Minister Omar al-Razzaz said that the government is committed to the provisions of the Constitution and the kingdom's principles of justice, freedom, equality and national unity that are guided by the values of pluralism, moderation, tolerance and respect for others' opinions. Presenting the government's policy statement seeking the lower house's confidence, the Prime Minister said his statement is guided by His Majesty's letter of designation. Razzaz pledged that within 100 days his government will tackle 16 issues including cost-cutting and launching a comprehensive dialogue over the draft tax law. Razzaz stressed that the government will set priorities through real partnership mechanisms that reflect the citizens' concerns, aspirations and hopes that will allow them to actively participate in the development and decision-making process through selection of representatives at the local and national levels. Moreover, he added that his government is committed to full cooperation, dialogue and constant consultation with the lower house on all issues to serve and protect Jordan's national interest. The lower house is scheduled to discuss the government's policy statement on Sunday. The House agreed to allocate 15 minutes to each deputy and 30 minutes to each bloc to take the podium to discuss Prime Minister Omar al-Razzaz's policy statement. The Senate held its first extraordinary session today. During the session, which was chaired by Senate President Faisal al-Fayez, Faiz al-Tarawni was sworn in as senator. The Senate was also notified on the Financial and Economic Committee's decision to elect Umayya Touqan as committee head and Omar Maani as his rapporteur, while also approving Ali Buran's request to join the committee. Earlier, the Secretary General Khalid al-Lawzi read the royal decree that summoned the extraordinary session to discuss the policy statement and another that accepted Raja al-Ma'ashar's resignation from the Senate. The Cabinet, meanwhile, in its weekly session, approved the deadline extension for the issuance of smart ID cards in all Civil Status and Passports Department offices until the end of this September instead of June. This will exempt residents and expatriates from delay penalties. So far, until the end of June, around 3.5 million people received their new IDs out of 4.5 million. Jordan condemned the terrorist attack in Saudi Arabia's Al-Qasim region that claimed the lives of a policeman and one resident. Minister of State for Media Affairs Juman Ghnimat denounced yesterday's attack by 3 terrorists at a security center and reiterated the kingdom's support to Saudi Arabia in facing terrorism. Ghnimat offered the government's condolences to Saudi Arabia and the families of the deceased. Over to Syria, where the Syrian army and allied troops laid siege to the rebel-held enclave in Daraa. The army was also consolidating its grip over the border area to the east of Daraa city. More in this Reuters report.
The Syrian army and allied troops have laid siege to the rebel-held enclave in Daraa. Rebels there say the government forces are poised to gain complete control of the southeastern city. A spokesman for the opposition group in Daraa told Reuters that several thousand people are encircled. On Sunday, the Syrian army released this footage of tanks and ground units advancing into built-up areas. Now, the return of Daraa to President Bashar al-Assad's complete control would be a big psychological blow to the rebels. The city epitomized the early peaceful protests against Assad in 2011. They spread across Syria, only to be violently crushed. The crackdown paved the way for the country's bloody civil war. On Monday, state media made no mention of the siege of Daraa, but said the army was spreading out along border areas with Jordan. That has worried Israel, who threatened Syria with a, quote, harsh response if it deploys near its Golan Heights frontier zone. The area, which borders on southern Syria, was demilitarized under a 44-year-old UN-monitored truce. Israel worries that Syria's president could let its enemies Iran and Hezbollah move forces into the area, giving them a foothold near its border. Tehran and the Lebanese group both back Assad in the conflict.
In sports, tennis champ Roger Federer needed just 60 minutes to claim the opening set against Adrian Manarino before coming through 6-love, 7-5, 6-4 to reach his 15th quarterfinal in 16 appearances. The defending champion has now won 32 consecutive sets at Wimbledon. After a trailblazing start, the Swiss missed 4 breakpoints in the opening game of the second set, letting Mannarino back to make more of a match. Federer will next play either another Frenchman, Gael Monfils, or South African 8th seed Kevin Anderson.
Game 7 match Federer. 3 sets to love. 6 love.
Serena Williams fired 30 winners and converted 4 out of 5 breakpoints to overcome Evgenia Rodina 6-2, 6-2 and march into the Wimbledon quarterfinals. The 25th seed Williams, after her return from maternity leave, took just over an hour to seal the victory and will take on Camila Giorgi in the last 8. And finally, the weather outlook. Summer conditions prevail tomorrow as temperatures slightly drop to their seasonal average. Winds will be northwesterly moderate to brisk at night. Amman can expect daytime highs of 34 degrees, dropping down to 19 at night, while in the Gulf of Aqaba it will be hot with maximum highs of 40 and lows of 27. With this, we come to the end of tonight's news. I'm Dana Abusham. Thanks for watching and have a good night.